Welcome to the Control Tower, everyone. I'm your tower director for today's session, and I want you to imagine your upcoming exam paper as a massive, incoming heavy aircraft popping up on our radar grid. You're sitting there under extreme time pressure, the weather outside is turbulent, and you need to bring this essay in for a flawless, full-mark landing, right? Well, let's dive right into this explainer and uncover exactly what Cambridge examiners are looking for in the 2027 Scientific and Medical Advances Pollution Essay Topics for the Afrikaans language AS level. Today, we are initiating a full-blown exam emergency simulation. We're going to teach you exactly how to manage that insane pressure, how to prioritize your high-yield marks, and, crucially, how to avoid the fatal errors that cause so many candidates to just crash and burn on exam day.
First things first, let's look at the actual payload we're dealing with here. Did you know that this specific essay accounts for approximately 15% of your total marks in Paper 2? Seriously, 15%. That is a massive chunk of your overall grade resting on a single response. In our control tower terms, this isn't just some lightweight puddle jumper. This is a heavy cargo flight carrying 15% of your entire AS level future. You absolutely cannot afford to miscalculate your fuel to mark budget here. You need to know exactly how much time and energy to invest in this specific section to guarantee you secure those points without, running out of time for the rest of the paper.
So to get this aircraft safely onto the runway, we're going to navigate through 4 distinct phases: core concepts, methodology, critical analysis, and examiner warnings. Let's get into it.
Starting off with Phase 1, Core Concepts.
Okay, consider this our radar grid initialization phase, because before you can direct the aircraft, you literally need to understand the airspace. In the context of your Afrikaans language essay, the assessment objectives target 3 distinct cognitive domains, and successful candidates, the ones getting the top grades, must demonstrate competence across all of them. Think of these as your 3 mandatory altitude checkpoints. First up, knowledge and understanding. Basically, you must show you actually comprehend the scientific and medical advances being discussed in Afrikaans. Second is analysis. You can't just list facts, you got to break them down. Like, how does medical pollution actually impact society? And third, evaluation. This is the highest altitude. This is where you weigh the evidence, judge the impact, and synthesize a compelling argument. Listen, if you miss even one of these altitude checks, your essay won't clear the mountains. It's that simple.
Now, you might be wondering, what exactly are the examiners looking for? Well, the syllabus emphasizes that top-performing students exhibit a specific type of understanding to stand out. They call it connected, conceptual understanding, and it is the absolute gold standard. Examiners do not want you memorizing some canned, pre-written essay about hospital waste and just regurgitating it on the page. No way. They want to see that you have a mastery of the fundamental principles of pollution and medical ethics, and that you can transfer that understanding to whatever specific, totally unfamiliar prompt they throw at you on exam day. You need a structural framework that can withstand literally any unpredictable weather the exam board creates.
And to back that up, principal examiner reports consistently highlight the candidates who base their theoretical architecture on precise definitions, causal relationships, and cross-topic connections achieve significantly higher marks. This is your secret weapon. This is how you upgrade from a standard pass to top-tier excellence. Don't just talk about medical advances in a vacuum. Connect them. Ask yourself, how does a breakthrough in pharmaceutical manufacturing tie into chemical pollution in local water supplies? Or how does the economic cost of medical waste disposal relate to environmental policy? When you make these cross-topic connections on your radar screen, the examiners light up your score.
Moving right along to Phase 2, Methodology.
All right, so now that we understand the airspace, how do we actually guide the essay down step by step? Systematic processing follows a very standardized sequence: identifying key elements, applying principles, executing analysis, verifying results, and presenting them. Examiners award marks for following this exact professional process to solve complex problems. Now let's track 2 hypothetical student operators on our radar today. We'll call them Router Alex and Router Sam. So, Router Alex, he gets bogged down at step 1. He's over-identifying minor details, color-coding with 5 different highlighters, creating an infinite holding pattern of planning without ever actually writing the essay. On the other hand, we have Router Sam. Sam panics, skips straight to step 3, and clears arguments for landing way too fast without verifying any of the structural safety regulations. It's a mess. You must follow all 5 steps in rhythm to maintain a stable glide slope.
And this breakdown right here brilliantly illustrates the necessary balance between understanding the underlying theory and applying the strict conventions required for presentation. On the left side, you've got your theoretical architecture, your precise definitions and evidence-based reasoning. But on the right, you have your practical application. Look, you could have the most brilliant thoughts on scientific pollution, but if you don't use proper headings, correct terminology, and clear annotations where required, you are going to bleed professional skill marks. Router Alex focuses only on the left side, writing a messy, unformatted masterpiece that examiners can't decipher. Router Sam focuses only on the right, providing beautiful headings with zero actual substance. You need both to land the plane safely.
Which brings us to Phase 3, Critical Analysis. We really have to ask ourselves, why do students find interpreting complex texts and data so incredibly hard under pressure? I mean, when the clock is ticking down, looking at a dense Afrikaans text about the ecological impacts of pharmaceutical synthesis, it can feel like reading a scrambled radar signal. Your stress spikes, your brain fogs up, and suddenly you're just copying quotes directly from the text instead of actually analyzing them. The core issue here? It's a complete lack of a structured analytical framework.
Hold on, tower transmission check. Before we clear this response for touchdown and get into the data, ensure your transponder is updated. Subscribe to Ace the Exams at Ace the Exams right now and turn on all notifications so you don't miss our next transmission. Okay, transmission check complete. Let's resume. As I was saying, higher order assessment demands a structured framework comprising descriptive, analytical, and evaluative levels. These map directly to the cognitive domains the syllabus demands. To successfully compare approaches and make justified recommendations, you should aim for this exact balance within your paragraphs. Roughly 1/3 should be descriptive, just establishing the basic facts of the medical advance or the pollution issue. The next third must be analytical. How does this actually work and what are the immediate consequences? And the final, absolutely most crucial 34% must be evaluative. Why does this matter and what is your justified recommendation? If you hit an unexpected structural block mid-paragraph and start drifting off course, deploy this formatting template. Think of it like a Peel paragraph on steroids. Point, evidence, evaluation, link. It'll guide your sentences right back onto the proper glide slope.
When evaluating the quality of evidence, you must identify these specific elements and systematically check for reasonableness. Let's do a quick interactive runway workshop right now. Imagine we have a 60-second visual timer on the clock. If a source text claims a new medical incinerator produces zero harmful emissions, don't just accept it blindly. Deconstruct it. What are the limitations of that study? What assumptions are being made about the operating temperature? Are there alternative interpretations of the data? We call this finding debris on the runway. You have to find the exact line in a source or sample answer that violates safety regulations and drops points. When you challenge the evidence in your essay like this, you demonstrate incredibly high-level critical thinking to the Cambridge examiners. This is exactly how you spot that debris on the runway and navigate around it safely. Finally, Phase 4, Examiner Warnings.
All right, brace yourselves. This is the emergency simulation phase. The amber warning lights are flashing in the control tower right now. Year after year, the examiners publish reports telling us exactly why students drop points, and the absolute classic trap candidates fall into is using the wrong approach for the context, rather than tailoring their answers specifically to the provided scenario. Let's say the exam prompt specifically asks about the impact of single-use medical plastics in rural South African clinics. If you write an otherwise brilliant essay about nuclear medicine waste in global megacities, guess what? You've used the wrong approach for the context. You will fail that section. Actually, scratch that. You won't just fail it, you'll completely tank your score. You must read the prompt, isolate the exact situational variables, and keep your answer locked on to that specific context.
Another major flashing red light examiner warning is that students simply forget to verify their format and presentation, neglecting crucial headings and annotations. It sounds so ridiculously simple, right? But under extreme time pressure, basic formatting is usually the very first thing thrown out the window. Remember Rota Sam from earlier, rushing the landing gear? You might have written a truly fantastic evaluative paragraph, but if you didn't separate your arguments clearly, or if your Afrikaans spelling of key scientific terminology is totally rushed and illegible, well, the examiner simply cannot award you those method marks. You must always reserve the last few minutes of your fuel budget for a final format suite.
Make sure to burn this quote into your memory right now. Examiners flag this as a massive recurring issue, so you must always define your terms before diving into your analysis. Consider this a direct emergency alert from the Cambridge Tower. If you are going to base a massive argument around complex terms like bioaccumulation or synthetic pharmacology in your Afrikaans essay, you absolutely must explicitly define what you mean by those terms in your introductory phase.
Do not, I repeat, do not assume the examiner will just give you the benefit of the doubt. Defining your terms anchors your essay and proves your baseline knowledge right out of the gate.
Now, to avoid confusing those terms during the exam, a really great strategy is to create a custom acronym for the key factors so you can recall them instantly under pressure. Listen, when the stress hormone cortisol floods your brain in the exam hall, accessing complex Afrikaans vocabulary suddenly becomes a lot more difficult. But if you have a simple acronym memorized covering the core syllabus pillars, maybe something that stands for the economic, ecological, social, and technological impacts, you can just quickly scribble it at the top of your page the second the exam starts. This literally acts as your backup navigation system if your primary memory starts to fail under that pressure.
Okay, let's wrap this up by reminding you to demonstrate connected understanding. Stick to the standardized methodology sequence, and always define your terms. We are entering the final approach now, folks. If you follow this fuel to mark budget formula, you are guaranteed a safe touchdown. You must balance knowledge, analysis, and evaluation. You must not get stuck in an endless holding pattern like Alex, nor rush your formatting and crash like Sam. And you absolutely must tailor your predefined knowledge to the exact, specific context of the paper in front of you.
So I'll leave you with this. How will you adapt your exam preparation to ensure you don't fall into the classic contextual traps we discussed today? This ATC simulation is complete, but your real-world practice is just beginning. Make sure you subscribe to Ace the Exams at Ace the Exams and enable the notification bell so you never miss a briefing. Also, drop down and leave a comment sharing which specific Afrikaans paper or topic gives you the most anxiety. Let us know so we can build the exact next simulation around it. Practice those past papers using this exact methodology, stay calm under pressure, and we'll see you in the next explainer. Safe touchdown, everyone.